Hi everybody, vinyl community, John back again. Yeah, so I had a bit of an issue with YouTube recently. You may have seen I tried to upload, well I had to upload twice, two separate versions. One that got blocked in America and a few other countries, and then I had to re-upload it with changes made so that it wouldn't get blocked in America. Seems to have done the trick, but you know, in the 6 or 7 years I've been doing this, that's never happened to me before. Anyway, let's hope it doesn't happen again. I'm going to show some rock records now that I've come by fairly recently. I think I'll show, what am I going to start off? Well, I'll show what I'm playing here. This was not necessarily a find, this was VCLT sent to me by James Griffiths. It's a Swedish band called the Blues Pills, quite a famous cover. I've seen this cover about before, but I hadn't actually listened to them. I didn't even know they were Swedish. Yeah, so here's the inner sleeve. They're sort of a blues rock band with a psychedelic edge, I suppose you'd say. James sent this to me, you know, with a batch of other things at the same time. And I hadn't really sort of paid it as much attention as I had the others. I can't remember why he said he didn't keep it. I mean, it's virtually brand new. He couldn't have played it more than a couple of times. So it was very nice of him to send it. Thanks very much, James. I will say this though, that in the time that I've had it, I haven't paid it much attention, but then just more recently, I can say that I've looked into to them a little bit more. I think it's fair to say that they're a band that I probably should look into a bit more, because I noticed they've got about three albums and some EPs out, and this being their first, I think they've actually gone on and developed a bit more. I've been reading up about how I think the next album after this they bring in a few other musicians, sort of keyboard players and the like, and it fills out their sound a lot more and really sort of brings them closer to that sort of late 60s, early 70s sound that they're obviously, you know, impressed by. They're very much like, yeah, the Big Brother holding company, Stone the Crows. You know, there's a bit of this sort of female-led, whiskey-voiced women singing to some quite good blues rock, with a bit of, yeah, psychedelia in there too. And I think that from what I've read, I'm intrigued to hear how they've progressed since then. I mean, they're still going, and yeah, what can I say more than that? It initially didn't really interest me very much, because I thought, well, I'll just listen to Janis Joplin or Maggie Bell. Yeah, now that I've sort of revisited them and you know, looked into who they are, what they're about, that sort of thing, I think there's you know, a lot more to be discovered. So I'll definitely be getting at least the next album, and possibly even some of their other stuff too. Thanks very much, James. I'm going to follow that up with a genuine classic. This is Faces' first album. It's not particularly great shape, but it's a record that I've wanted to have for a long time. I've had it, you know, initially got it on CD, and I had this really big long love affair with the Faces. I mean, there was a time when I just played them all the time. I didn't get them on vinyl, I got them on CD originally, and they were always in my car. Long happy period, actually, really digging this band. Really got stuck on just the groove that you find in the Faces. And their records don't come up very often. I don't know why, because they must have sold a shed load of records, but you just don't see them, you know, second hand and used. At least not at a price that, you know, I'm often willing to pay. But this one came up, and I'm chuffed to bits with it. Really, really good. It's certainly the most rootsy one, I think, out of their collection. And it's got some really gorgeous playing with what's his name, the keyboard player, I never can remember his name, Ian McLagan. Fantastic music he plays. So I'm really happy to have that, and it didn't cost me a huge amount. It's not the most well preserved copy, but I'm happy with it. It's got a few scuffs on it. It didn't cost me very much. Beautiful record, I'm happy for that. And if anyone has a pristine copy they'd like to send me, because they don't like it, please let me know and I'll give you my address. This is a record that another record that I've wanted to get hold of for a long time. The album that came out before this by UFO is called Force It, and it's from the period of UFO when they acquired a new guitarist called Michael Schenker, who's brother of Rudolf Schenker from the Scorpions. I think Michael Schenker even used to be in the Scorpions for a period. And I really liked that period of the band. They went on to sound a bit more sort of commercial sounding and things, but I really like this particular period. Force It, this one, and then I think there's one called Phenomenon before, which I haven't heard yet, but it's supposed to be really, really good. I like Michael Schenker's guitar playing. They've got such really good, strong songwriting, and I'm sure there are people out there that disagree with me, but I think you can really hear the influence that they had on bands like Iron Maiden. It just seems to come through so strong. Anyway, I've often seen this about, and it goes for a fortune. I managed to pick it up at a reasonable price. It's on Chrysalis, and I've thoroughly been enjoying it. One of the places where I go shopping for records is I think where it is. It's an Oxfam shop in one of the small towns here in Wales, and they have had a copy of the cover in amongst their records, and that's just it. You know, these days record shops will sell empty covers even with no record in it, because there's such interest, I suppose. But they've had an empty cover for sale for £1 in their record stacks, and every time I see it, my heart skips a beat and think, oh wow, no, brilliant, found it. But then I remember, oh no, it's that cover, the copy with no record. Anyway, fortunately I found this somewhere else and invested in it. So, brilliant record. It's every bit as good as I'd hoped it would be.
Little bit of everything. No, that's why
trip around the UK, went to Wales and also the southern part of England. There's a small town called Newton Abbot, or Newton Abbey, that has sort of like an indoor market situation. Went there, bought a few records. I think I've probably shown them in the past few weeks or whatever. This is one that I picked up there. It was described by the woman that was sort of run the bookstall that had a few records for sale. She had done a quite good job, because she sort of put them all in nice sort of plastic sleeves and written little descriptions of what these records were about, and you know, a little bit of information for the buyer. And she described this as being very much in the vein of AC/DC, and that caught my ears, and I thought, well, give that a go, so I bought it. So they're a German band, and it's on something called Lark, and yeah, it didn't cost me very much. I think I paid just £3 or £4 for this, and I was quite curious to bring it home and give it a listen, and yeah, lo and behold, you could almost forget that this wasn't AC/DC. What made me sort of think about this as well, and doing this particular video, was yesterday evening watched a video made by James Griffiths about his AC/DC collection, and it made me pull out a few AC/DC records, and then I remembered this one. Oh yeah, so I did a bit of a comparison for myself. It's kind of obvious as well, like there's this guy who's got a flat cap on, a bit like Brian Johnson, and it's hard to believe that they didn't do this intentionally. Now the original cover that this was released on is very different. I think this is a Belgium issue with this particular cover. No idea why they should have a different cover in Belgium, but that's what this one is. So I'm going to do a little needle drop of this for you to hear just how close they are to sounding like Angus and the Boys. Last of all, in this video I'm going to show this compilation. Showed a really good compilation in my last video, the Desert Island Disc one for Square the Circle, and this was a similar kind of thing I just picked up just the other week. I've seen a few people show it before, but never bought it myself, and it was available in the Oxfam shop that I go to, and they weren't asking very much at all for it, so I brought it home with me. It's a really good compilation called Rockbuster, and it's, I'll give you some idea of the tracks on it. Well, it's got Blood, Sweat and Tears, Soft Machine, Poco, Mr. Softly, whoever that is, Argent, Rock Workshop, Spirit, Johnny Winter, Shuggy Otis, Bob Dylan, Santana, Flock, Miles Davis is on here, Black Widow, Robert Wyatt, Skid Row, Edgar Winter, Al Cooper, and a few more. You know, so it's a really good compilation that seems to sort of have a good selection of rock and progressive rock. I'm very happy with this. Anyway, so that was my nice Rockbuster compilation that I was going to show. I think that's about it. Although talking about Argent, it does make me realise I've got quite a few prog records that I really need to pull out and show. So I think after this I'm probably going to be pushing out a few proggy videos, ones that I've collected this year, and I'll look forward to that. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Check out my next video. Bye.